Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the next project. I just want to throw out quickly and say thank you guys so much for all you new subscribers. Totally appreciate it. It's been absolutely awesome over the past 3 weeks watching the numbers on the channel grow. I do appreciate each and every one of you that has subscribed, so thank you. Next project is the one behind me. It's a TaylorCraft owned by one of my friends who had a bit of a dumb thumb moment last year, and it's been on my to-do list to fix for this past winter. So we're going to get to this project and get it all fixed up. Okay guys, so first step is basically assessing the damage. Kind of had an idea initially of what the damage was going to be, but now that I've had some time to look at it, I have a better idea of what we need to fix. So first thing that I noticed here is the rudder has some definite issues. It's actually snapped down here and right up here. So we've got to pull the covering off the rudder, get that fixed up. The elevators look fine. I inspected those, and nothing on the elevator surface appears to be broken. Fuselage looks good. I think what happened when what he said when this went in is it kind of went on. He stalled it, went in on the tail, and then landed down on the landing gear. So I know the other primary thing that's not going to show up here is the engine's loose. So I'm not sure if it's the firewall. I'm pretty sure it's the firewall, but I haven't taken this apart yet to inspect it. So we're going to do that. And so the firewall or whatever's wrong with the engine needs to get fixed. All right, guys, coming up front here, the last big thing that I know of is the landing gear. So the gear's still solid, but hopefully the camera is going to pick this up. But this side here, the left side, is bent up a little more. The wheel pant right here is quite damaged, so those need to come off and be repainted. This one probably repainted as well so they match, but there's some fiberglass damage there. The connecting rods here, those are bent, or the suspension system, so we're going to get that all straightened out. So initially that's the stuff that I know about. We'll have to see if anything else pops up, but the first thing that I think we're going to focus on is going to be the engine, just so we can see how bad this is, because we need that high sol to cure before we can really do anything. And so that's the project. Hopefully it doesn't don't have any hidden gems anywhere, but should be fairly straightforward, but we'll see. All right, guys, so everything's pretty much taken apart as much as I need to figure out what's going on here. So we knew exactly what was wrong with the rudder because you could see it from before, but we've got this broken section right there, and then there's a split right here. So this whole piece bends over. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to clamp this nice and straight. I'll demo all this stuff for you guys when I do it, but we're going to clamp this so it's nice and straight, and then we're going to CA. This is just balsa, so we're just going to CA this, and then once that's done, we're going to add some additional pieces of balsa just in little corners here, just so it adds some additional contact, and then we'll add some more here and then on top of here as well. So it's a fairly straightforward repair on the rudder. Obviously the key is just making sure that we get it nice and straight and it's nice and even, and then we'll recover that. I do have a roll of red, which I'm not sure if it's the exact match, but it's pretty darn close. It's red, so I think it looks good. Okay, firewall is loose. It's easier to do this with two hands, but I'll put a little pressure on there and you can see the firewall's popped loose on this top section. It looks like everything else is nice and solid. So for that repair, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to open up the fuselage, and essentially what needs to happen is, so the tank is in the way for us accessing anything in there. So what we're going to need to do is pull the tank, which is probably fine because these lines are extremely brittle. Like they're so hard right now that you can't even get any compression out of these unless you're using pliers. So we're going to replace these, at least the fill line, because that's a nightmare if you're trying to pull the plug out. The vent line we might be able to reuse, but it's mainly the fill line that I'm concerned with. And then while we have the tank pulled, we're probably going to change that clunk line, or at least check and make sure it's still flexible. So once we have that, once we have the tank out of the way, we should have decent access to reinforce that firewall. So that's what we need to do there. Took the wheel pants off, and that's a pretty simple repair. It's basically just refiberglassing it from the inside on these cracked areas, and then filling and sanding it all. This we're probably going to save because my goal is to bring this plane back to the owner in 2 days. So we're going to try and get all this stuff done, and then the wheel pants we can always deliver later on. But you can see the legs here. This may not pull it up properly, but straight for the plane is at the same angle as my hand. So this wheel's bent this way and then also tilted in, so that needs to be fixed. The axle looks like it's probably still straight. It's just the actual leg that's all bent. So this portion of the leg is bent this way. This portion of the leg is bent up. Maybe that'll give you a different perspective, right? So, and then same thing on this side as well too. So these wheels should be nice and straight, maybe with a little bit of toe in, but nice and straight. So both of those legs need to be bent back and taken care of. So that's basically the nuts and bolts of the repairs. So not sure where I'm going to start, but for this night tonight, I'm probably going to not do anything. I just wanted to get an idea of what we needed to do. But tomorrow is going to be the big repair night, and hopefully we get it all done in one night, and I will show you guys all the steps. All right, guys, I've taken the wheels off just so we could see the damage. The other thing I'm going to do is take the engine off. Now, the reason I need to take the engine off is there's some plastic clips holding the fuel line just as it comes through the firewall. So I've got access to the tank. The rubber bands have been removed, but the problem is the tank won't pull out because of the clips that are holding the fuel line on. So we need to get the engine off. We've taken the exhaust off the side. Now we're just taking the 4 mounting bolts, taking those off, and we'll have to probably disconnect some of this telemetry stuff and everything, but well, guys, it's probably a good thing that this happened. The lines, as I mentioned already, the lines are like plastic, and then because the lines are plastic, there's the clunk right there, and the clunk doesn't move at all. It's stuck in the down position. So definitely needs to be changed. Yeah, that's it's a good thing this plane's coming apart for sure. So anyways, guys, tank is out, engine's out. There's our it looks like the firewall is really thick when you look through here, but it's not actually that thick. It's all the pieces built up here, but the firewall is just, I think it's a 1/4 inch ply. So anyways, we have to reinforce that section. Kind of interesting, this engine's not an electronic ignition, it's an old magneto. That was kind of interesting. I've actually never played with one of these before, other than like flying this plane, but never seen that before. That's new for me. So anyways, guys, that's where we're at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably just high-sol. I have to get my mirror out and take a look in there. Probably just high-sol the back of this. Might have to add some wood, I'll see, but I want to get that done tonight just because it needs to cure, and the other stuff we can take care of tomorrow. All right, guys, I'll try and show you what's going on here. I'll try and zoom in so you can see, but if you see the blind nut there, that is... that's the blind nut for the engine, and just below in the picture, so above the blind nut, there's no real attachment for the firewall. So there's just those forward to back ribs that come through, which are these guys. So it could definitely use a little bit of reinforcing. It looks like it was just CA'd before, maybe with some sort of like 30-minute epoxy. But if we are able to get high sol in that entire joint, it's going to make a big difference. There is some triangle material on And I'm hoping I can pick this up on the camera, but there is some triangle on the side, which is good. And some triangle on the other side, which is good. But we need to do something on the top there. Okay guys, so I did end up reinforcing the firewall, and what I did was just basically dumped a whole bunch of medium CA in there. And there's really not a great way to reinforce it just because of the way it's actually fastened. So as I've told you and shown you a little in the clip previous to this, basically the primary reinforcements on the side with the right angle stock there, but the whole top of the firewall is just mounted to the ribs and the sheeting there. So so essentially I put CA on this side. I can't show you right now. Yeah, I can show you. So I took the covering off that section just to inspect it. So it's been CA'd from this side with thin CA, and then I dumped a whole bunch of thick CA from basically from this point all the way around, and then let it soak in for a little bit and used kicker. So that should be well and reinforced as much as we can. I mean, if we were to put some quarter round pieces in there or something in these little ribs, all it's going to do is extend the contact point out on the sheeting, right? Which is just balsa. So I think making sure this entire area is glued together is really the way to go. That's why I did it that way. So okay, so the airframe's been flipped over. We can start to work on the landing gear here. The main thing I'm going to do when it's flipped over is I'm going to clean the underside of the plane up. It's pretty gunky with oil. But we've got this one strut that's bent. This one's also loose, so the bolt may have stripped or it might be loose. So we're going to take those off, kind of inspect them and see what we need to do there. And that's the next step we're doing here. Okay guys, so took the gear off because it's going to allow us to do a better job of straightening this out. Now this is aluminum, which is perfect because we can bend it and manipulate it. If you go to the back of the strut here, it's good and level. If you go to the front, that side's good. This side has a gap, so this side's bent down a little bit. So first thing we're going to do is use the vise, straighten that out, and then we'll work on the legs. One of these legs, I think it's this side. It's got a little bend at the end here, but we'll take a look at that once we get the base leveled out. Okay, so we've got it leveled out. It's got a bit of a wow in it right here now. So what I'm going to do is just put this on the ground or on here, and I'm going to smack it with a hammer and just level that spot out. Okay, so when we use the ruler on it now, it's much better. A bit of a wow on the back end that will hammer down. Okay, so that looks good. Alright guys, so next thing we can do to check alignment of the wheels is put a carbon rod on there. And the nice thing about the carbon rod is it's straight. So you put the carbon rod on there. On this side we've got a little bit of toe in, which I'm good with. Just a little bit. I mean, on this plane it's hard to eyeball, but I can see that there's toe in. And on this side we are close. So you need to add a little bit more on this side, and then we also need to bend these a little bit more straight as well. So what I'm actually using to line this up is there's 2 bolts holding the struts on the rear tail. So if the rod was fairly straight on those bolts, we'd know that there was basically 0 toe in. But I'm using those as a reference point. So, and then with the verticals, so that one's got a little bit of outflex to it. This one's got a little bit of inflex, or I don't know if it's camber or cast or one of the two. It's pretty much straight up and down. So we're going to bend this one back out just a touch, and then we should be good on the gear after that. A little bit of out, check it against the other side, a little bit of out, so we're perfect. Good, so that's how we fix the gear. The gear's nice and straight now, and so we're going to reinstall the gear, reinstall the struts, and put that back together. All right, guys, so wheels are all put back together other than the wheel pants, but we still have to fix those. So struts are put back on. They're fairly easy to straighten. They don't serve any function. I mean, they might add a little bit of strength to the struts themselves, but they're just there more for scale. The spring doesn't actually work. So those are nice and easy to straighten. They're just made of brass or copper tubing. Wheels are put back on. They've got just a hint of toe in, which is awesome. Everything looks nice and straight again. The wheels have just a bit of a bottom out angle to them. I'm not sure what that's called, but happy with that. So installed the pitot tube back. I just use shoe goop to fasten that because it's nice and flexible and removable if we ever need to get that off again. That's the wheels. So that's basically done. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take apart the tank and fix the inside of the tank with the stuck clunk and all the fuel lines. Hey guys, I just want to show you kind of one important thing here that I've learned over the years is I know a lot of people that when they go to take tubing off of a pipe, they will take an X-Acto knife and put a slice like this. Problem with that is now you're putting a possible air leakage gap on the nipple or on the tube or whatever it is. So what you want to do is grab it with side cutters and just cut the tube like that. When you do that, it just peels right off. That works for Tygon, works for Festo tubing, anything. So just a little tidbit for you. All right, guys, just pulled the bung assembly out of the old tank, and here's the clunk line. It's basically stuck in the bottom position. So with this clunk line, this plane was never meant to go inverted, that's for sure. So anyways, you can see it there. It's stiff. So anyways, that's why we're replacing all the lines. All right, guys, so the line's been done on the tank. The tank's been reinstalled. This kind of brown looking line is just some older Tygon that I had, still in good shape. Just because the one package of the regular stuff wasn't enough to do the whole thing. So anyways, that's why it looks different. But it's all new tubing on there. Now we need to put the clips back on the tubing and try and get them in the same spot as before. And then the engine can get reinstalled on the Firewall.